All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are one step closer to Wrestling Championship Entertainment's vindication. And to get us ready for it is, of course, our resident rock star. John Bon Jovi has nothing on him because John Bon Jovi could never do a cannonball with our resident rock star like he does it. Nobody does it like him. And he was very successful at Dead or Alive against Adonis Felios in a champion versus champion match. And he's going to get us ready here for what's going to happen at Vindication 2 with our other guest right after him, who you heard from last week, the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson. Plus, we're going to talk a lot more. He needs no further introduction, but because he is one of our favorites on Sportswire Radio and we're rocking this shirt, we're going to give it to him anyway. So, with wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report, the number one Global Sports Show, the reigning, defending RCW World Heavyweight Champion of the World, the resident rock star, Sean Jovi. The champ is here. My friend, how are you?
Doing great, Tom. It's been an honor to be on your show again. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and certainly congratulations, champ, on the big win a few weeks ago at Dead or Alive, and obviously a lot to get into here. There's a lot of stuff that we have to get to here, and we have people already that are tuned in all around the world, and of course on social media, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, you name it, and our flagship, which is our radio dial, sportnarium.com/player. But before we get into all the stuff that's coming up for you, champ, I got to recap this match here that you had with Adonis Felios. It was the second time that obviously you guys have squared off here in the past year. And I mean, first of all, how did you pull off that cannonball? That's the first step. And secondly, talk about this match, because I think that this might have very well stole the show at Dead or Alive. And talk about what it means to you to have retained the RCW title and the way you did against the Drip King, the AIW champion, Adonis Felios.
Well, Adonis is a big man, just like myself, and
very big man.
Yeah, I mean, I've wrestled bigger, but you know, he was definitely a worthy contender, but he just came up short. And the cannonball, that was really cool. I had a fun time doing that.
I don't know if it was too fun for Adonis though for taking.
Oh, absolutely not. He gave me one. I'm like, oh, that's it, pal. Your turn to get one. He gave me one earlier in the match. So.
Yep. Yeah, you guys, I gotta say, you guys, it was like, I mean, was one thing with you and billiards, but I mean, it was physical out there with you and him. I mean, did it not? I don't know if say it was personal, but was it almost in a way where you felt like there was something like a pep in your step? Even listening to the commentary during the match, it's almost like you've had this new attitude of like, do you feel a little bit of a new attitude, more or less?
Yeah, I can see that. The resident rock star always is changing and evolving. It's something that's definitely become a part of me in and outside of the ring. So I think as far as the attitude goes, that's just me growing and my persona as a rock star growing by the second. I think it's just become a part of me at this point.
Absolutely. Listen, just like John Bon Jovi. Listen, I mean, Bon Jovi, in order for him to have evolved and had the career that he had, listen, after New Jersey, he certainly had to make those changes, and he did. He was really one of the only people from the 80s that was able to make that adjustment, just like what you're trying to do. I have a ton of comments here, so let me get to them here first before we talk more things. WCE Skulls, well, I guess is a part of the roster now officially. I mean, he's, I guess, kind of WC. We'll see him in July. Says, hello, gentlemen. And I think Casey Jack Bradley is doing doing his best John Bon Jovi imitation here. He says, "Oh, we're halfway there." Well, Tom is always live. Hello, gentlemen. Yes, obviously. Thank you, Casey, and certainly I appreciate the John Bon Jovi reference there. Skulls also wants to say, "Get the pool party ready, Sean Jovi. It's cannonball time." And speaking of individuals, I'm going to get to here in a little while. Certainly another champion, the IMF World Champion, Mr. Omen Black, the leader of the House of Wolves, says glad he lost the wig. Well, you did, I guess, take the wig off in the match, so certainly you did do that here. But let's talk about the fact that since I kind of feel like since the season has started, you said, nah, maybe it's your evolving, but there's something in your matches that I didn't see last year. And I think it's been why you've been successful as who you are. It's going to transition into what we're about to talk about next year, going into Vindication 2 against the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson, who's going to be in the house here in a little while. And I mean, do you feel like you have something to prove this season, especially how last season ended with COVID and you couldn't get that chance? You still have that opportunity for the interstate, but the way you kind of, I think, proven yourself here this season so far, going into Vindication, maybe this really is Sean Jovi's season of being vindicated. I mean, talk to me about your thoughts on that.
Well, yeah, I do agree with you completely on everything you just said. I think the drive and the attitude might just stem from last season ended very rough. I lost a 3 Doors Down match. I had an interstate title match lined up, had COVID. Then that went away until I decided to cash in whenever I feel like. Take on that missing title opportunity I was promised but never got. But I think moving forward and heading towards Crenson, I do have a lot to prove this year. And I feel like I'm already proving it quite a bit that I am evolving it, like I said, reinventing myself, making myself a stronger individual as a wrestler, as a person. And I think the drive is really helping. I think you are 100% correct on that, Tom.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously we covered you last season. We had you on in a spot even with Craven. I've had you on, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, but I don't know, something's different in you this season. Like there's just maybe it's the RCW title, bringing that out and defending it. I don't know, but there's just something even in your matches. There's just a different step in you. I mean, obviously, I think everybody's going to have a story to tell here this season. We're going to get to Crenson's in a minute. Obviously, it's going to be a really kind of a delicate spot you're trying to be in right now with 2 friends. You're kind of in the middle of with Dogfire being the other. But I just think there's something different this season with you. Maybe it's I don't know. There's something about it. That's all.
Yeah, and it's a magical, different feeling, I think, too. I think it's for the better, not for the worst.
No, and I do think that you are in a way. I mean, hate to bring up John Bon Jovi, you are kind of evolving. It's almost like a mature Sean Jovi. I mean, listen, like I said, Bon Jovi, the reason he was able to survive into the 90s and into pretty much now is he matured. Keep the Faith, Crush, These Days, Bound. He was able to, listen to Lost Highway. He was able to.
Oh, yeah. That's how he stayed alive in the 2000s. So,
He was, listen, again, not to go too deep into music. He was really, it's him and Metallica and Ozzy. They were really the only acts of the 80s that were really able to survive and thrive, and people wanted to hear their music. So it's working. I think it could work for you as well. And a couple of more comments here. And Skull says Sean Jovi is writing the next chapter, and that very well could be the case. And Casey Jack Bradley has a good line before I come into Nicholas Crenson, the new Messiah. I've learned a lot from wrestling. Evolution is necessary in order to stay fresh, but to still keep the elements of the character as it worked for The Undertaker. Do you feel for you that this comment hits home? I mean, talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think it does hit pretty close to home. Pretty much hits it right on the head, actually. Yeah. But to go with what Skull says right in the next chapter, that is pretty much what this is, and this year feels to me is the next chapter of Sean Jovi. As far as what Casey said in the evolution, that's how you reinvent yourself. That's how you get relevant, like you said. One of my idols in pro wrestling is Chris Jericho, and
we spoke about you in the past. Absolutely. Listen, Chris Jericho,
he's the king of reinvention. Like
he's the chameleon. Listen, not to go culture club. He's the chameleon.
He really is. He really is.
He really is. I mean, think about it. I mean, it's 2023 and Jericho is like doing things that nobody's doing from that time frame, and I think that Sean Jovi is on that path. And I do want to bring up your opponent at the last show, the Drip King Adonis Farios, who, by the way, is also going to be in a big match at Vindication because he's in a number one contenders match for the All Out title. He's going to be wrestling, of course, your best friend Darkfire, who's got that golden ticket now, and Jay Stereo. So anything you want to say to your opponent? I know you kind of addressed him a little bit on your last vlog, on the Jovi vlog that was just released, and it seems like there's a respect there. But anything else further you want to say to the Drip King, Adonis Felios?
Adonis, like I said, you gave it your all. I'm proud of you for doing so and stepping up, but unfortunately you fell short, buddy. And that's about it. There's not much more to say, but keep doing what you're doing, keep trying, and maybe one day you will beat me.
Ooh, well, I'll tell you what, we'll have to see. And certainly in the meantime, I want everybody to follow the resident rock star Sean Jovi on YouTube at RCW Rules. Also, I want everybody to follow our friends over at Wrestling Championship Entertainment at WCE Heat. That's WCE Heat on YouTube, also Facebook. Also, you can go to WCEHeat.com for Wrestling Championship Entertainment information. Obviously, we love covering WC. We love covering all the different companies. Another company I'm going to get to, you kind of referenced in a little while, so we're going to talk about that here. Also want to give a big shout out to management here. Management is tuned in. Want to say hello to them as well. Also have an announcement, Sean Jovi, on a guest coming up next week. I have a couple of guests here that are coming on here, so we'll certainly see here. But also Skulls references Fozzy here. Also Adonis Felio says here, respect. All right, so I'm going to reference Nicholas Crenson here in a second because we are going to hear from Nicholas Crenson here
Yes.
in a little bit. So I'm going to get to him, and I know that I've certainly received some messages about that and from Mr. Crenson himself. But you guys had a back and forth promo on here, and Mr. Crenson is actually messaged, and I'm actually going to bring him on in about 15 or 20 minutes. So I'm going to bring him on with you because he's actually requested a microphone. He wants to see you face to face. So I'm actually going to do that. I have somebody else that wants to talk with you face to face. So you got some people here that definitely want to talk to you. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that here first. But let me get to Mr. Crenson. And Mr. Crenson addressed you in a couple of different ways into the fact that you've wanted this match, yet you've beaten him twice. You also talked about the fact that Darkfire was your best friend and Crenson tried to end his career, but you also consider Crenson a friend. I mean, we've seen what Crenson has done here. He has certainly been building this group vector. And I mean, what do you want to say in firing the first shot to the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson, your opponent, 2 weekends from now at Vindication 2?
Well, the story of how Nicholas Crenson and myself kind of started, the whole Darkfire thing and turning on Darkfire. Like, if you saw the show before, that whole thing happened on, I think that was Blaze of Glory Day 2 that happened. So Blaze of Glory Day 1 with my match with Darkfire, the anniversary match. He came in at the end at the end of the show, and we all celebrated in the ring.
Yep.
Best friends, 3 best friends.
Yep.
And then there's something after his match with James Marshall. Just he went off the rails, attacked Darkfire, went completely rogue on it. I would have never expected him to do that.
Nobody did after what we saw from Crenson in the past. No, nobody saw that one coming.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, it doesn't involve me, but I want to get involved, but because they're my friends. But what's the nature of the sport? To wrestle, to fight, and settle your differences in the ring. So I was like, okay, I'll let them do that. And that's what they did. And then, luck of the draw, Crenson was trying to take out Darkfire's leg and try and end his career. What am I supposed to do? Let that happen? Heck no, man. Darkfire is my best friend, and I am going to protect my best friend if I have to, even if another friend is the one trying to do the damage.
Okay, fair. But when it comes to Nicholas Crenson and kind of his cryptic actions, not even words, these past couple of months, I know it's a new you, but are you concerned in any way that not only are you facing a different Crenson, but you're also losing a friend here? And you also said recently that you didn't want to get in the middle of this, but now you've had to.
Yep. Well, it sucks because Nicholas Crenson was a big part of the vlog crew. He was a big part of a lot of my career. Here we started out kind of as enemies, but then we grew into friends.
Yeah, you
It,
guys
it,
have been friends. We've talked about that here with both of you guys. You guys have had a long, long-standing relationship here.
yeah, and do I don't want to say I'm overlooking it because I'm absolutely not. In fact, I think he and his new attitude started from last year. I consider him a huge threat to me and my championship. A huge threat.
Okay. Okay. All right. Fair. Now I have some comments here, and I'm actually gonna have a couple of people I know are gonna want to speak to you tonight here. But first, let me get to the comment section here. James, as you call him, Marshall says, "Howdy, gents," and I think you've got a fan that likes how you say that Marshall instead of James Marshall. Your best friend here, Mr. Darkfire, obviously who's had a big, big run here of late, and is going to be in part of another big match at Vindication, Mr. Sean Jovi, and James Marshall says you got that right. Also, Skull says Nicholas Crimson may be the priest. Are you saying that facetiously Crimson, or are you really just butchering his name? But he has a hunter on his tail. So I guess Skulls is preparing for his own actions toward Crenson, although I thought Skulls wanted Craven, but I guess that's here nor there. If you need backup, Rockstar, you know where to find me. Well, I actually have to ask you this question then before I bring up Mr. Crenson here and bring him on here. Also, you have another person you referred to here that I actually want to also address. But are you concerned, though, that with the way Vector is going and the numbers game that they have, are you concerned, though, that you just may not have the numbers and Crenson may actually finally win a championship?
You know, that is the big difference between myself and Crenson right now. I'm going solo. I'm going alone. I'm playing lone wolf. I could have backup, like Adonis said. You know where to find me. Well, I don't want to find you, Adonis. No offense. I want to do this on my own and prove I'm a dominant champion. And if I need backup in the future, I might look for it. But as far as the whole vector or stable
They're building
unit, whatever kind of thing they are.
Who saw that? The man of masochist, Tyler Ark. I mean, nobody saw that one coming.
Yeah, I think the fans felt more cheated than shocked, but
Oh, well, I would certainly say maybe in a promo they might have been, but I'm going to plead the
yeah.
fifth on some of that. But I mean, they're building though. I'm missing Zero Deus, Tyler Ark. I mean, these guys they're building something, and they look at Mr. Crenson as the guy that can lead them to the promised land.
Yeah, and he might, but I also have my doubts. You see, Crenson, just by learning what I have about him since the beginning of WCE, yes, he wants to help people, like you said, back in his earlier promos, but from what I'm seeing, this new Crenson, I think, is in it for himself, and I think they're just henchmen. I could be wrong, but I think
Okay,
Crenson's
all right,
scared, and that's why he has his backup. I don't
okay,
think
all
he's
right.
ready for me.
All
He
right.
may
Well,
be threatening, but he ain't ready.
well, all right. Well, that maybe not. James Marshall, Skulls is hungry for opponents like he's hungry for burgers. I feel like I've heard that one before, but I don't know why that's a reference here. Sean Jovi is a one-man band in this battle. Yeah, I kind of
I
think
like
that
it.
that's a very accurate statement here. I can teach Ark a lesson or two in wrestling. All right, so let me ask you then, before I'm going to bring on Mr. Crenson first, and then I'm going to bring on somebody else that you referred to in your most recent vlog, which again, people can go to RCW Rules on YouTube for at and go subscribe, like, and follow all the great things that you do. But I mean, Tyler Ark and James Marshall. I mean, you have a thought or two on that? I mean, it could be, in 2 weekends from now, you could be without that RCW title, which has meant so much to you, and that interstate title that's meant so much to James Marshall. He could be without it, and all of a sudden, Vector could be Vector two belts.
That would be scary. I feel
It's a
like,
possibility.
and it is a possibility, and I feel like Vindication has pretty much the fate of WCE in the balance. Maybe not
Really?
the fate per se, but like in terms of like control. If you have if you have Vector controlling two of the three belts, that's pretty much a majority takeover right there.
So are you saying you're fighting for control of WCE? Is that what you're saying?
I'm fighting for all that is good in WCE. I don't think Crenson is best for business as far as him as a champion and Tyler Ark as a champion goes. I think that would be bad for business. So I'm here to protect my business and WC's business. Like
Okay,
Craven
well,
said, he may be the ruler of the yard, but I consider myself a guardian to the yard. If there's a hurdle you need to go through to make it in this yard, you go through me first.
so basically, to refer to a movie that's basically out there, are you saying you're the Rocket of WCE?
I like to think so. I mean, I don't want to like feed my own ego or whatever, but I do really feel like I am one of the flagship uh, wrestlers on the roster, and
I do
I
think that's
carry
the
that
best
banner
statement.
proud. I carry it proud.
No, I do think you are one of the pillars of WC. I definitely think you're up there. No question, Craven's in there. No question, Marshall's in there, and you're right there as well. And I do have a couple of more comments here. Let me get to them. Sean Jovi, that's my brother. I think he meant to say that's my brother, so I'm gonna read it off that. The old zero words, yeah, the old zero words. It also reminds me of there was a song not so famous of a Black Sabbath song, which ironically the singer on this particular song was Ian Gillan, who was the singer of Deep Purple. It was called Zero the Hero. So, for whatever reason, that comes to mind here. But Adonis gives the thumbs up, I guess, sort of, or the hands. I think he kind of corrected himself. Backyard Guardian, Backyardian. That was a good one here. And I guess
Yeah.
I should make my first announcement. Speaking of James Marshall, he's going to be on with us next Sunday. He's going to be on with us. I think about, what do we say, 10 o'clock Eastern time, about 10 or 10:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Central time, and I'm going to have on Mr. James Marshall ahead of his match against Tyler Lark, the newest member of Vector, who's coming off a victory, you might want to say, over Nicholas Crenson, and that'll be kind of the big. Yeah, I knew you giving the thumbs down there, but Marshall, I know you're not giving the thumbs down to. And before I have on Mr. Marshall, I'm going to have on the former ROEW world champion here. That is going to be CJ Black, the good guy. He's going to talk about ROEW. He's going to talk about his journey. That'll be 8 o'clock Eastern time. So we'll have on CJ Black and then kind of a little bit of an intermission. Then we'll come back to WCE coverage. ROEW is a really cool company. It's in the Midwest also, in a different state. Got a different vibe than what you guys do, but I definitely think it's going to be an interview you're going to want to tune into. And that'll be, again, all of our Sportswire radio pages. And Adonis Felio says, Rockstar, wish me luck in the triple threat match. Redemption. But I think I know who you're going for in that match. That's, of course, your best friend, Darkfire. But I have to ask you this question before I bring on Mr. Crenson and then also address somebody that you also mentioned that works in a different promotion, because I really want to get to. In fact, you know what? Before I bring on Mr. Crenson and before I bring him up, I actually want to bring up, before we get to Mr. Crenson, I want to bring up that individual that you referred to, Soldier GP. Now, I'm sure that you know, Mr. Jovi, that Soldier GP was on Sportswire Radio Thursday night, and he had a lot to say. Certainly, he talked a lot about you, and you also were here in this stream commenting, and
Mm-hmm.
you said at the end of your show, your Sean Jovi vlog, Soldier GP who? You basically took a call from Mark Packer and you said, who is this guy? And you also then went on to talk about the state of Iowa in a way that I'm sure people in the Iowa Midwestern Federation would probably disagree with. And I mean, do you want to say anything further toward that, or anything toward this individual Soldier GP who was our guest Thursday and is the DKW hardcore champion of the world and the former IMF world champion?
So I'll be honest, that video where I said who is Soldier GP
Mm-hmm.
was pre-recorded maybe a few days ago, so it kind of released out of order.
Okay.
So between
Okay.
the time I went who is Soldier GP to when I was on your show, I did a little bit of research up until that point. So I was like, okay, now I have an idea what I'm dealing with. And but at first I was
Okay.
like, who is this guy? Like I don't really know much past the Wisconsin borders nowadays. I've been
Okay.
out the loop with feds outside of Wisconsin for quite some time. I've been out
Now
of
he's a very big guy though, and he's called the popular monster though. They call him the popular monster. He showed himself to be a guy that throws his weight around, and he's had some success. He's even going to be wrestling in Levi McDaniel's promotion coming up next weekend.
Oh, I've heard
And
that
he's
name.
Yep, Levi McDaniel's a name we've mentioned here on Sportswire Radio. We actually have some friends. One of my friends is a ring announcer, and he actually knows Mr. McDaniel very well, part of the sit-down marks. And obviously, Levi McDaniel's a big name here in the Midwest, and certainly Soldier GP, the popular monster, he's going to be a part of his card actually defending his DKW hardcore title
Very
next
nice.
weekend there. He said some things about you, and do you want to say anything else to him out there? And, there's a possibility maybe even he's listening right now.
Yeah, he could be listening. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised after I've asked who he was. I feel like I might have offended him, but that's all right though. I don't really care. But Soldier GP, he is a big guy. I did my research, like I said. Big guy. He's definitely a popular looking monster indeed. But he is no resident rock star.
That's a fair point. You might say that. I had asked him conversely about you and, what you've done against Billiards and obviously what you've done against Adonis Felios, and he kind of had the same answer here. Now, if I said to you, Mr. Jovi, hypothetically, that Soldier GP wanted to say hello to you for a few minutes before I bring on Mr. Crenson, would you want to speak to Soldier GP?
You know what? This would be the first live via satellite face-to-face, if you would want to call that, if it was back in the day.
Remember those old Raw shows where you get let's say like from satellite, Shawn Michaels from satellite, or Jim Ross interviewing Stone Cold from Stone Cold Home.
Yeah, I used to love those. I could never get enough of it, so I wanted to make that reference because this is our basically live via satellite in modern day. Is what we're doing.
Yeah, kind
of.
It's funny. As a kid growing up, people used to always tell me before I get to that. People used to say to me, Tom, I could see you one day with a microphone. I could see you doing this and that. I'm like, well, I guess 20 years later or 15 years later, here we are. And I guess then cue up the bat signal, cue up the satellite here. I'm going to bring up here the current DKW hardcore champion of the world, the popular monster himself, Mr. Soldier GP. And Soldier, long time no speak. How you doing here?
I'm doing pretty good. What's up, champ?
Oh, not much.
I saw your video. Who is Soldier GP? Well, allow me to introduce myself. I am the king of the backyard scene. I am Mr. Heel Life 24/7. I am Soldier GP. And when you step in the room with me, Jovi, I'm going to be the one that's going to beat you in that ring.
Those are some tough words. Those
ain't words. That's real life.
It's real life. Interesting, Soldier. How long have you been yarding? Just out of the curiosity of my mind.
It doesn't matter how long I've been yarding, how long you've been yarding.
I mean, it
doesn't matter.
I was just curious because of a history standpoint. That is why I do not know who you are, because I have been around for quite some time, and for some reason I never heard of Soldier GP until recently, and I want to know more about you. I found out about your Fed in Iowa. I think it's very cool. I don't like Iowa as a state. I think it's very boring. No offense, but
just like Wisconsin.
Yeah, but we got cornfields. Tom loves cornfields.
I have to say, as a New Yorker, because I'm not going to defend my state so much. My state's in the news for a lot of the wrong reasons right now, if you follow politics. But I will say that you guys do have good yards, but also in Iowa, to be fair, because I don't want to get caught in the middle of Iowa versus Wisconsin. Iowa is the home of Slipknot and Field of Dreams. So I'll say you both have good qualities here. So I'm going to plead the fifth on that. That's between you two guys.
The only thing that's good from Wisconsin is that 70 show.
Okay.
Yeah, Donna was hot. I will say Donna was hot.
And the main character of that show spent the whole entire series trying to get out of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Foreman, yeah.
Honestly, I've thought about that a few times myself.
All right, that's fair. Well, can I say that there's some people out there that want to talk to both of you guys? First of all, Skull says Soldier GP is the equivalent of Paul Heyman being in the building. Yeah, okay, I guess. My very good friend, also from New York, wants to say rock on to both of you guys, Anthony Finkel. Anthony Finkel, also a big guy. Sean Bon Jovi, he calls Sean Jovi. Also, Adonis Felio says, this is getting good. James Marshall says we've got cheese and beer. All right, you know what? I got some of that. And Soldier, we've got you on. Sean Jovi, we've got you on. Now, I look at both of you guys, and you guys are certainly impressive big man. Soldier, what you do in that ring, what you've done in the IMF, it speaks for itself. I talked about the fact we're going to see you at Levi McDaniel's promotion next week. What you've done in DKW, holding their championship. Sean Jovi, what you've done this season, it's a new Sean Jovi to me. But for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, and I get the talk, I get that, but do you think there's a possibility that maybe we could see a match that a lot of people might want to see out of curiosity between two, I would say two of the top big men right now, frankly, in this sport?
I want to see it. After doing my research and finding out who Soldier GP is, the popular monster versus the resident rockstar monster. Monstar, maybe we could go with. Yeah, I'd like to see a clash of the two big titans.
Me too. Anytime, any place, your choice.
All right. I will indeed accept your challenge. As far as place and time, I do not know. That, again, is probably up to management on both of our respective federations to figure out. But as far as that happens and future matches go, I would love to share the ring with you.
Is there anything you'd like to say, Soldier? Anything you'd like to say toward that? Anything you'd like to say toward the resident rock star?
I just want you to know, Rockstar, that once we get in that ring, all jokes and friendliness aside, I'm gonna beat you.
I'd like to see you try.
You call yourself a legend, and I said in your messages the last time you were on, you call yourself a legend. Well, I'm gonna be your Randy Orton, and I'm gonna kill the legend. I'm gonna kill the Rockstar.
Kill the myth, the legend of Sean Jovi. I just don't see it. You're a big guy. I respect it. But I don't know. I want to see you try. I want you to come up here one of these days and wrestle. And then I'll come down to you maybe. You see, one of the things that made me come back to backyard wrestling after my on and off hiatus is to face some of the very best again. Back in the day, I faced a lot of great yarders in their time. Chris Castle, King BW, B Snow. The list goes on. And I need, when I came back with this title, with everything attached, I wanted to do it again. This is the second coming of Sean Jovi, more or less, this run. And who knows how long this run will have left. So while I'm still running, I want to face the best. And Soldier, if you're claiming you're better than me, then we'll see where your mouth is, huh?
Well,
I'm not saying that. I know I am.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people thought that the possibility of Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar would have been a dream match. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns. I'll even go further and saying Gunther and Sheamus or Drew McIntyre, and the list goes on. Goldberg and Roman Reigns over the past few years. But I think, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, as the host of the Sports Report and the owner of Sportswire Radio, that I would love to see, quote unquote, a clash of the Titans as the famous thrash metal tour of 1990 to 1991 when it was Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax with a little band called Alice in Chains as the opener. I would love to see the RCW champion of the world, the resident rock star Sean Jovi, and the DKW hardcore champion of the world, Soldier GP, square off in a clash of the Titans, a dream match, a main event. Think about if the stars can align, whether it's in a WCE ring, an IMF ring, who knows, a DKW ring, who knows, maybe even Tony Khan's promotion, Vince McMahon if he's back in power, whoever it might be, I don't care. I don't care how it happens. I would love to see this, and I think a lot of people that are listening and watching and are fans of Wrestling Championship Entertainment and IMF might agree. That's just my words. Soldier, I want to give you closing thoughts here, because obviously I wanted to give you the opportunity to address Mr. Jovi tonight in a brief appearance, because obviously Mr. Jovi kind of responded back to you Thursday night, but we kind of heard Mr. Jovi's side. It was kind of like out of order in time, but it seems like you guys, in the words of John Wick, might be seeing each other very soon. So maybe Soldier GP, the popular monster, I'd like to give you the floor for a final thought or two, or anything you want to say to anybody out there.
I'm just glad I have your attention now, Jovi.
Well,
That's
you have
all.
it.
And I'm glad I have it. And when it happens, you're gonna take an ass with me because you ain't never got in the ring with somebody like me.
You know, I will give you credit where it's due. You're a hardcore champion, and hardcore matches are not where I specialize. I have not had very many hardcore matches versus like regular matches, so I can respect you for the field of wrestling that you do. Hardcore wrestling isn't always is a fun and games kind of thing like people could make it out to be. It's brutal. It's a brutal kind of match environment, and I can respect that you are hardcore enough to take as many beatings as you could and deliver as many beatings as you could.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Something tells me here we're going to have more coverage that the IMF wrestling fans, and frankly, even WCE fans, are going to want to see tomorrow night, because we're going to have on a guy you know very well, Soldier GP, Matthew Forsaken, 8 o'clock Eastern time. So Mr. Forsaken will be here. We'll talk a lot about Dark Cryptic Wrestling. I want everybody to follow the IMF on YouTube at IMF Wrestling 666, nearly 1,000 subscribers. Also, please like the IMF page on Facebook. Also, IMF_wrestling on Instagram as well. And nice to see you again, Soldier, the popular monster. And I have a feeling that, wink, wink, we might see you again real soon here.
You will.
Okay, be seeing you, as they would famously say in the John Wick movies. Well, you know, Sean Jovi, it's kind of like this is your life tonight, because you heard of one person that wants you in the ring. I'm going to bring on now somebody you are going to be seeing, who you're contractually obligated to face for your RCW championship, and that is a man that is no stranger to Sportswire Radio, and that is the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson. Nicholas Crenson here, the leader of Vector, the man, the myth, the legend. Your turn here to address Sean Jovi, and you guys have had some back and forth here over the past 24 hours, which everybody's been talking about here on social media pages. So, Mr. Crenson, you've been waiting for this all night. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. I do want to kind of address one thing is Vector. I'm not the leader. There is no leader in Vector. The other thing I want to address is Sean. I'm going to say this to you, and I'm being 100% honest. Thank you.
Wait, really? You just said thank you to Sean Jovi? Tell us why.
Tell me why.
With this whole stuff that's happened over the past 7-8 months with me on Darkfire, I kind of lost sight of things. Basically, it's, you know, I've always wanted to push people harder and make them better, and then something snapped a little bit for me. And like you said, I was about to end Darkfire's career. You stopped me. And I want to say thank you for that. Now, if you hadn't stopped me, would it probably still happen? I probably would have. And that's why I say thank you. As for a couple other things we got to address here. As for Tyler Ark, I gave him that opportunity because he wants to better himself. He wants to improve himself. And honestly, I've had so many shots at the interstate right now that I don't need it. I don't need to be challenging James Marshall again. What I need is to conquer my demons. And one of my biggest demons ever since WCE started has been you, Jovi.
Oh.
Like I said, you had no reason to throw that challenge out to me. You have beaten me twice, clean in the middle of that ring. You, honestly, you to me are by far the best pound for pound wrestler in WCE.
I think this season, I think that's a fair point. We kind of spoke about that at the top of the show. I think it's a fair point.
You've reminded me of another thing, is that I have the ability to be one of the best wrestlers too in WCE. I'm one of the best technical minds in this business. So, of course, I'm going to accept, because it's a free title shot. Why not? But Jovi, Vindication 2, this isn't going to be a numbers game type situation. This isn't going to be Vector having my back. Sean Jovi, Vector, Darkfire, everybody else, we're going to leave them in the back.
Okay.
Vindication 2, Sean Jovi defending the RCW Championship against the Cycle Wolf, Nicholas Crenson.
Ooh, we haven't heard that in a while. The Psycho Wolf is back. Sean Jovi, what do you say toward this? I mean, this is certainly, I think Adonis Felius of all people says here correctly, this is a WCE curveball. I mean, your turn now, Sean Jovi.
Well, I'm a little surprised to see you brought your little Vector unit to the back and want to leave them behind for this. I'm also very surprised you're bringing out the Psycho Wolf, considering I'm 2-0 against the Psycho Wolf. I have yet to face the Messiah. So I'm a little confused why the change of heart with your character as a professional. I am very confused, and I don't buy it.
Okay, how do I explain this?
You have a lot to prove. And
Yeah.
I'm giving you this opportunity not because of not just because, I should say, of the whole Darkfire thing. Not just because you were my ally at one point. No, I gave you a shot because I think I need a challenge that wants something to prove, and that's you. Even though I had to intervene in your little thing with Darkfire, in which, by the way, you're welcome for you not doing that. Crenson, you're going to have your hands full, regardless of you're the Psycho Wolf, the Messiah, the whatever else you could call yourself, the Vector Colossus. I don't know. I don't know what goes good with Vector. It's just a weird word.
I don't know. I'd have to get back to you on that. But, I mean, Mr. Crenson, let me ask you a question here. I'm going to throw you a curveball because I do have some comments. But I know you've said some things about Sean Jovi, and you also said you didn't want the Interstate Championship. But there is the one demon here that we have not addressed here tonight, and that's the fact that it's been 17 years still. 17 years. I mean, people at this point, we even made a reference to it as a punchline on one of the last WCE streams about you in a championship match. I mean, how are you going to prove to people that they can actually buy into you in finally winning the big one?
That's what I want to hear too, Crenson. I gave you the shot. Tell me why you think you're going to beat me.
Why? Oh, like, you know, I will say this. I am getting sick of bringing up the 17 years stuff. When I win, 17 years, that goes away. But here's the thing, Sean. You are talking to somebody who knows how to pick their opponents apart. And that's something I forgot. See, you're talking to somebody who has at least 47 different submission holds that he can do. You're talking to somebody who studies their opponents, knows their knows their opponents, especially when that opponent happens to be a close friend.
Ooh. All right.
You're big dude, Sean, and I could obviously, say I could go after your legs. I could do this, I could do that, or I could just be smart and just target your shoulder.
Ooh. That's fair. I do have a documented shoulder issue, and I think if you did that, you would be desperate. I don't think you targeting me is the way to go because you have something to prove. Why do that when you want to do it on your own, not take advantage of rules, stipulations, previous injuries, whatever else? When I get Nicholas Krenzen at Vindication 2, am I going to get just the Cycle Wolf? Or am I going to get some guy who's going to bend the rules and try everything to take this away from me? RCW is a fed about honor. And although I don't see much honor in you these past few months, I do want to see you fight with honor.
Honor. That is a interesting comment. And I like that challenge. To fight with honor, to kind of bend the rules, to take advantage of injuries. I mean, a smart man would, even you'd admit it. A smart man will.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And, I'm not saying that I won't target your shoulder, but it's not going to be out of desperation. I'm going to do it honorably. I'm going to target anything that I target honorably. This honor thing just keeps on popping up a match in my head. And it keeps popping up. And I think you know what match I'm talking about. Do you?
Tell me.
It's there's a belt you have that actually represents that match type. Not that belt, but a belt you held a long time ago that represents that match type.
Ah, the Pure Rules.
Yes. So how about this? We talk about honor. We talk about doing things the right way. We talk about leaving everybody in the back. Why don't we make this Pure Rules? Why don't we make this Pure Rules? And then we leave all the excuses out of it.
Okay. If you want to challenge a former GBYW and World Pure Champion to a match in Pure Rules, come on, man. You're just giving me another edge. You may be a pure wrestler yourself, but you've never held a belt that has pure in its name. You haven't held a belt in like half your life. So like I would really like to see you win with the pure honor, but as you know, I'm not going to let that happen.
Let me ask you something for both individuals, as we are here with the resident rock star Sean Jovi and now the Psycho Wolf, Nicholas Crenton here. He has brought back the Psycho Wolf here for the upcoming match here at Vindication. And it looks like we're going to have a Pure Rules match for that RCW Championship, which is currently held by the resident rock star Sean Jovi. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I'm the man behind Sportswire Radio, and you can follow Wrestling Championship Entertainment at WCE Heat on Facebook, YouTube, also WCEHeat.com. Also, please follow Sean Jovi's vlog at RCW Rules on YouTube. But you guys have talked about the long-standing relationships you've had. We've also just heard about the word honor. Let me ask you both this question, and I don't know what your thoughts are. I know a lot of people want to talk to you guys, and I'll get to them. But I have to ask this question. Is the friendship permanently broken after what we've heard, not only from tonight from you guys, but even in the past 24 hours?
I mean, we may be at conflict. As far as a friendship goes, I wouldn't consider it broken. I'm not sure what Crenson has to say about that. I think it's on hold for the sake of the well-being of the sport. And I still consider you a friend, Crenson, don't get me wrong. But in the nature of the sport, we are now enemies until this passes. And I don't know, man. Again, you got to show me show me what you got. Because I still have my doubts, but I do consider you a worthy challenger. So yes, please tell me.
See, that's the thing here, Jovi. You consider me a friend. I consider you like a little brother.
Oh?
And yes, we are going to go to war. We're going to fight each other. We're going to, in that ring, there are no friends. There are no friends. There are no family. We're going to fight. We are going to beat the hell out of each other. But at the end of the day, I still love you like a brother. And I'm still willing to, when it push comes to shove, even with Darkfire, I have my issues with him. I've had my issues with him. I even still consider him like a little brother to me too. But when push comes to shove and I have to fight, I will fight. And I know you will fight too. And at Vindication 2, we're going to do this beer rules. Wonderful. That leaves us with very little room for excuses. For me, for you, and for everybody in the back. This leaves us to prove that we are willing to fight for it.
Okay, all right. Well, I have a bunch of comments which I haven't got a chance to read off, and I'd like to do that before we move on here. As we also pointed out here, this individual wants to be on too. Well, JR Wynn has been sharing our stuff on Sportswire, and who knows, maybe one day it'll be your lucky day. Darkfire says you dropped your pocket. Adonis Felio says boo when it comes to Mr. Crenson. He also then says a WCE curveball. Tonight has definitely been a curveball. I think we've been covering Wrestling Championship Entertainment here on Sportswire for a long time, but tonight was a real curveball. There might even be one more curveball before we get to closing thoughts here that I really think you're going to want to see in our arsenal. This individual says, yes, Sean Joby. So I guess you have somebody new here that's with us. So maybe I'm missing something here. So that's always good, right? That's always good to see. Nicholas Crimson. Now, I don't know why Skulls keeps calling you Nicholas Crimson, but he says a new nightmare may be coming soon. And Tam here says Spectre rhymes with Vector. I had thought about that, but I'm like, what does Spectre actually mean in terms of compared to Vector? Adam Morgan, another one of our friends from the state of Texas, another pro wrestler who always likes to say woo every time he comes on here. And he's from, I think, the Southern Crawfish Wrestling Federation. I think it's the Southern Crawfish. They just have a show that's coming up here very soon. He wants to know, fight with honor and target his buttocks. So, I don't.
This is wrestling. Anything could happen.
I guess you could do that. I guess. I mean, I guess, right? I guess. Hello here from AJ Rios. So AJ says hello. I'm just trying to think of where is AJ from, but I appreciate AJ.
He's based out of Texas.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I might have heard from AJ somewhere. Also, Tam and Brandon say hi. That's I guess to you, Mr. Jovi. Mm-hmm. And Brandon says hello also. Brandon says hello, and he says, love you, Jovi. So I don't think I've seen Brandon here on Sportswire, so I'm good to see that. Skulls has something to say to you here, Mr. Crimson. He keeps calling you Crimson. He says, if I were you, Nicholas Crimson, I would take the 14 years as a sign. Are we talking about 17 rather than 14?
Yeah, I was going to say 17 years sounds more like it, buddy. Yeah, you might want to work on your math there.
Well, that's why Skulls isn't in WCE.
Less than 17.
Well, maybe you should go with it, Nicholas Crenton. Maybe I have somebody here that I think wants to address somebody here shortly because I think he also wants a piece. And that's the current world champion in the IMF, Mr. Owen Black. He says, "Let me be in here as a devil's advocate." That's all he wants to say. So you know what? I might do that in a
Give me
few
a
minutes.
second. I'm gonna
Yeah.
grab something quick here.
Okay,
for
you do
guys.
that. Well, I'll go back off that. We'll move on, and he says me and Jovi are basically neighbors. So you got your
Yep.
neighbors coming in here. This was a big one tonight. All
Yep.
right, so you know what? We've heard from Mr. Crenson. We've heard from Soldier. We've heard a lot here tonight, and I want to give you the opportunity then. And what do you want to say to anybody that's watching and listening, and what we can expect now that it's announced in about 2 weeks from now? Vindication 2. Maybe it could be the biggest blockbuster of the summer. Forget about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Forget about John Wick 4 if you want to go that far. You want to forget about Fast and the Furious, Transformers, Indiana Jones, Spider-Man. You name a blockbuster. It sounds like here Pure Rules, Crenton Jovi 3, RCW title could be the biggest blockbuster of the summer. So Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, what do you want to say to anybody who's going to watch this match here in a few short weeks?
Well, as you said earlier, Tom, it's a new year, it's a new me, and so far I've been proving that this season. So if you haven't seen me wrestle before, you're in for a treat, because like I said, I'm on a huge run right now. I'm getting to be in the best shape of my life again. I'm trying my damnedest, and I am going to prove everybody who's ever said Sean Jovi is not going to make it wrong this year, because Sean Jovi is the reigning defending RCW champion. Sean Jovi has an interstate title shot whenever he pleases. And Mr. Marshall, I hope you're keeping that belt warm for me, because one day it will be mine.
All right, but you still don't give Tyler Ark, the man of matches, any credit here, because he could be that champion. It could be the way you're going tonight. Who knows? It could be Vector 2 belts. We mentioned it, Nicholas Crenson.
Yeah.
It could be Vector 2 belts. And, I want to give you the opportunity, conversely, Nicholas Crenson, because before you came on, and I don't know if you heard this, but I said that there's a possibility that not only could be Vector 2 belts tonight, but Sean Jovi could very well be fighting for the heart and soul and the livelihood of WCE. He called himself the guardian of the yard. While Craven might be the ruler of the yard, and Craven's going to get his due May 24th, right before the show, Sean Jovi, maybe to some have correctly said, he's the guardian. He's the rocket of the WCE yard. So, Nicholas Crenson, I'm going to give you the floor, conversely, to what do you want to say to anybody that has had doubts about you and has had the naysayers about the 17 years, treated that as a punchline, to the people that said, Nicholas Crenson, what is he doing to Darkfire? What has he done to a friendship that goes here far beyond anything in WC? What do you want to say to those people before Vindication 2?
Things aren't always so simple, Tom. And yes, it is a punchline now, the 17 years and all that stuff. And you'd like to say you're the guardian of the yard, Sean. I'd more equate you are the conscience of backyard wrestling. Because I have never met anybody who, throughout everything, you are the uncorruptible. You are, yes, you'll have your moments, but really you are through and through a good person. Now, is that always good? Good people can fall sometimes, but also I know you want to be interstate champion. I know you want, because as much as the RCW World Underground Championship means to you, see, for me, yes, I haven't won a title in 17 years. You have mostly only won titles in your own fed. There's very few times that you've won outside of your fed, and I believe there's hardly any times that you've won the top belt outside of your own fed. So
It's true. I've only held one top belt out of my fed.
And And now that we have 3 belts in we have the 3 belts in WCE, you have the RCW title. You get the interstate title. Then it's just a race between you and Craven Rage to be the first Triple Crown.
Yeah, that is true.
And-
Craven was the previous RCW champion, and our prologue 3-show series of our first season, I did end that little prologue arc with this belt.
And
giving Craven his only loss in the business.
We've spoke about that here on Sportswire. You're the only man to have defeated Craven Rage, and Craven Rage has been on his own run, and he's going to get his opportunity, as always, to speak here May the 24th at 10 p.m. Central Time, and he's going to talk about that. But you're the only man, Sean Joby, to beat him, and you could arguably say the run you're on right now is maybe what Crenson correctly points out. You're on a race to make history.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have no doubt that you'll make that history. Just like I have no doubt that I'm not going to be the facetious one and say, oh, Tyler Ark is definitely going to win because he's a part of Hector. No, I know that Tyler Ark is going to test himself, because that's what this really is for him. It's not necessarily a foregone conclusion that he's going to get the title. He wanted to test himself. And you and me both can agree that James Marshall, Catalyst, while we say we're some of the best wrestlers in the business in WCE, Catalyst, James Marshall, whatever he's going by, he is the measuring stick. He is the litmus test. He is the one you fight when you want to improve yourself.
I agree. My first match in WCE was against Catalyst, and at that point he was the measuring stick, and I beat the measuring stick, and I proved myself. Unfortunately, Crenson, you still have yet to win the interstate title off of him.
Well,
but we do have a chance at this one.
Well, we're going to certainly find out. And again, I want everybody to follow Wrestling Championship Entertainment. I cannot stress enough the fact you need to be following Wrestling Championship Entertainment on YouTube at WCE Heat. WCEheat.com for information on upcoming all WCE shows, all related information. You're going to see a lot of WCE coverage on Sportswire Radio. As always, we love Wrestling Championship Entertainment. I'm always rocking my shirts out there. I'll tell the funny story real quick before I get to one more surprise and some comments here. I was at a famous New York steakhouse, and they had asked me, they had said, well, you got to dress up nicely. And they said, well, how are you dressed? And I said, I got my WCE Heat shirt on, of course, for Wrestling Championship Entertainment. So made sure I walked into a fancy New York steakhouse and forced them to let me be seated because I actually knew the important person. And I sat there in a wrestling shirt. But that's from our friends over at Wrestling Champ. That's what we love. I'm always rocking them and love this company. But have some more comments here before I get to one more surprise. If you haven't physically watched these men in action, you need to. It's definitely a treat. I 1,000% agree. Tyler Ark can't be trusted. He seems to have something up his sleeve. Well, James Marshall is going to find that out in 2 weeks. So it's James Marshall, and I'm going to ask, gentlemen, James Marshall these questions next Sunday. So James Marshall will be in your chair, and I'll ask Mr. Marshall these questions. Adonis Felio says, Tamara, you are more than welcome to see WC Wrestling Championship Entertainment in person. And then Tam says, well, I actually have seen them, and you guys are awesome, and definitely we agree with that. We love everything that you guys do. But, Mr. Crenson, I wanted to bring on somebody here who wanted to say hello for a second, and he's going to be a little bit more polite than maybe when Mr. Soldier came on, and that's for a good reason, because this is the reigning, defending IMF champion of the world, 5'11", 385 pounds. He hails from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and his name is Mr. Omen Black. Now, Omen, I know you wanted to say hello for a second. And good evening once again. Long time no speak. Literally, I actually heard from you on Sportswire like 24 hours ago with the brute force Brad Weiss. But
Yeah,
obviously,
I thought this was brute force time, but I got Jovi and Crimson.
well, you might have to settle. I mean, certainly, you want to
But
say anything to these individuals? I know you wanted to say hi.
I want to give Crimson this. I applaud what you do, Crimson, and I stand by what you believe in. But this whole honor bullcrap. See, I'll be the devil on your shoulder and say, why be honorable? Where's honor ever got you? Now, you may have this Vector. You might be riding my coattails, but I might be doing a little bit better than you with the House of Wolves, which is fine. The Vector could stay. But you have a lot of advantages in this match, and yet you choose to disarm yourself. Why?
Why? Simple. Why take the easy road when it's fun to scratch and claw your way up?
I may respect that, but still, why? Why be honorable? It's fun being a bad guy. I can't stand goody two-shoes right here, Jovi, following the rules, being pure at heart, following pure rules. That's bullshit.
Oh, don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong, Omen. Like, as sweet and as nice as Jovi is here, he's also one of the most violent people I know. So I don't expect doing it honorably to be an easy task, or do I expect it to be pretty? No, I expect it to be painful. And that's what I want. I want it to be painful. I want it to mean something. You can have all your advantages, and you are right. It is much more fun to be the bad guy and be dishonorable and have all that fun. But it's also very, very easy to do that. And don't worry. Don't worry. It's, I'm not doing this honorably because I want to. I'm doing this honorably because I have to.
People tell me all the time that I got lucky at Rumble in the Yard. That's horseshit. I made my own luck. And guess who's reigning on top? Yours truly.
You got the belt. It doesn't matter how you get there, right? It's on who won, right? Who won and lost.
Now, like I said, I do respect you, Crenson. And there's brute force right there.
Speak of the devil,
honorary House of Wolf member.
You should meet this guy one day. By the way, the brute force Brad Weiss.
I would be honored to meet brute force.
Basketball star, and has a poster and is honored for his career in college basketball, and he's a big time coach. He won a championship tournament today, and he's this big time star, and he's a big fan of yours apparently, champ.
Yeah, I'm a fan of his, and also I'm a fan of yours, Crenson. Like I said,
you are a fan of Nicholas Crenson's.
I like what you stand for. I like what Vector stands for. Even though I think Vector's is riding on my coattails of the House of Wolves. But that's just me. Unpopular opinion.
Here's the interesting thing about it is Vector was formed just before we even heard of you. And honestly, as soon as I heard you, I looked you up, Omen, and I'll give you this. House of Wolf is impressive. You are impressive. The fact that correct me if I'm wrong, you've been doing this for nearly a year only.
And I've done a lot more than you have.
You are a world champion. That is impressive. Now, once you get to the 5-10 year mark and you see how many times you've held that belt or how long you've kept that belt for one single setting, then you'll really have something to talk about.
One like
So
you.
I have high hopes for you.
One like you. I have something to talk about right now. Is a world championship. Where's yours?
2 weeks from now, maybe Mr. Crenson will finally break one of the longest droughts in, frankly, civilization. I mean, let's be
Now,
honest.
I usually don't say this,
Okay.
but I respect WCE's management on not letting me go against Craven. I respect.
Oh, you do? You do?
Hmm.
That's
I
interesting.
mean,
Didn't expect that from you, champ.
why send the face into a slaughter? You know what I mean? Now, I'm looking for an opponent. As you can tell, Soldier and Jovi got their match. And I got my eyes set on two guys. Number one is Catalyst, James Marshall, wherever he wants to call himself that day.
And he's on next Sunday with us. Maybe you want to tune into that, Mr. Omen Black.
Oh, I most definitely will be.
Fair enough.
Number two is you, Mr. Psycho Wolf, Messiah Crenson. Now, you think about it. Think about it long and hard. And you tell me, you accept or you decline.
Yeah.
Don't make your decision now. I don't want
Alright.
don't want your ego making a poor choice for yourself. But think about it.
Okay. Anything else you want to say, champ, before we let you go? And I'm sure you'll be tuned in tomorrow night when somebody you know very well, Mr. Forsaken, is going to be with us in these individuals' chair.
That puke, I've already beat him once.
Yep. And Mr. Steele, we spoke about Mr. Steele 2 nights ago on Sportswire. He's
Yeah.
on Friday, so I know you're going to be you're another one of your old nemesis. Mr. Anthony Steele's going to say.
I'm going to say this. I played this system and I made him relevant again. So you're
That's
welcome,
true.
Anthony.
That's true. I'll ask him that though for you. I'll make sure. Anything else you might want to say though from Mr. Forsaken or anybody else that will be tuned in for tomorrow night?
Forsaken, you already know what the deal is. I'm coming for that belt in an all-out hell match. Barbed wire on the ropes, half of a steel cage, anything goes, any weapon. Now, I hope you prepare to bleed, because that's exactly what you're going to do. Again. And Levi McDaniel's promotion, I'll be defending my World Heavyweight Championship against a luchador that I've never heard of, nor as I think anyone else has heard of, named Chalk.
Wow! So this is this breaking news because we knew that your nemesis, Mr. Soldier GP, the Popular Monster, was defending the DKW title next weekend, but now it seems that you're also going to be in action there.
You know, I set an open challenge to Levi McDaniel's Federation. The first guy accepted until he realized who he was, who Omen Black was. And look what happened. He took his balls and went home. Never heard of him since. Now Chalk showed up, and I give him this. He has guts. He wants to prove something. He wants to prove his name using Omen Black. I respect that. But you're coming into my territory. My stipulation. The match that I'm king at is table matches.
We saw that
No
a
one
couple
has
of
beat me in
times.
a tables match. Anyone. I've been in 10 table matches, haven't lost one. Now, Chalk, prepare to lose on the 20th. And again, Crenson, I say to you, think wisely.
Okay. All right. Well, I want everybody to follow the IMF again on YouTube at IMF Wrestling 666. Also, please follow the Iowa Midwestern Federation on Facebook as well. You can also on Instagram, IMF_wrestling. Please follow and subscribe, all of their great pages. And Champ, I am sure that we'll be seeing you real soon. And who knows, maybe even tomorrow night. Wink
No,
and
you
a nod
will.
and a smile with Mr. Forsaken.
You will.
Okay. I think that's a guarantee. So I'll take that and be seeing you then real soon then, champion.
Jovi, have a good night.
You
Crenson,
too.
have fun.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the IMF champion of the world, Omen Black, the leader of the House of Wolves, and he'll be in action. He just broke it here for us, in addition to the Springtime Rumble on the 27th of May and the 20th next weekend at Levi McDaniel's promotion. He'll be defending their championship there. So obviously, we'll see what happens between Mr. Crenson, Mr. Black, along with Mr. Soldier and Mr. Sean Jovi. But before we get to closing thoughts here, I want to give you both gentlemen the opportunity to say a final word or two to each other. So, Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, I'm going first with you, actually, because you're the RCW champion, and I want to give you the opportunity to say final thoughts to now the Psycho Wolf, Nicholas Crenson, the man you're 2 for 2 against, and going to be squaring off with for your championship. Now it's announced here tonight live on Sportswire Radio and Pure Rules.
I can't wait to get in the ring with you, Crenson. I can't wait to fight till the bitter end in Pure Rules. But make no mistake, I'm 2-0 against you. It's still going to be 3-0. I'm still going to be champion. But I want to see you try and beat me. I want to see you try your damnedest. Because I know, in the end, I don't think your best or your damnedest is good enough. But I want you to prove me wrong. So when it comes to Vindication 2, come and get it.
Okay. All right. Strong words there. And for you, conversely, the Psycho Wolf, Nicholas Crenson, I'm going to give you the opportunity here to give your final words before 2 weekends from now, Memorial Day weekend, the biggest blockbuster of the summer, possibly. Pure Rules, RCW title against the resident rock star, Sean Jovi.
Sean, you said you wanted to face the new Messiah version of me, and maybe some point you'll get that version of me, but I need to do this as a Psycho Wolf. I need to do this the right way, and we've known each other since 2010, but we really have only, I've considered you a brother since we've started this in 2021. And really, if you want to know why I want to do it the honorable way, why I want to do it the right way with you, that's why.
Oh, we've seen that before in Jovi's vlogs.
Like I said earlier, that you are the conscience of WCE. When things aren't right, you step in, and you did it. Like I said before, thank you for stepping in when you did. Me and Darkfire will probably meet again, and we'll probably finally settle whatever issues we have had with each other. But right now, like I said, you're the dragon. You are the demon. You are the monster that I need to conquer in order to, and it's not just, it's not really the RCW title. You take that title away from the situation, and I still need to beat you. Because, like you said, you're 2-0. You plan on making it 3-0, and you want me to prove you wrong. I'm going to do my damnedest to prove you wrong. I'm going to do my damnedest to take that belt off of you. I'm going to do my damnedest to beat you. And when it's all said and done, there will be no doubt.
All right.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you are not following Wrestling Championship Entertainment after this, you clearly need your heads to be examined. And if you still haven't, go and still anyway follow them at WCE Heat on Facebook, YouTube, WCEheat.com, or you can even buy a shirt like the one I have, or also maybe even buy some merchandise from the resident rock star himself, Sean Jovi. Please also subscribe to his YouTube page at RCW Rules, and you can see that latest vlog here, vlog number 134. So Jovi's definitely got it going on. So make sure you go out there and support the resident rock star. And before I get to closing thoughts here, I have a couple more comments. Skulls out. Talk to you later, gentlemen. Having dinner with my mom. And an early happy Mother's Day to everybody, including my mother and everybody else's mothers out there. I definitely want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. I hope it's a nice day, and I hope it's a successful day, and it's a day that you get to enjoy with. And I hope everybody, again, has a happy Mother's Day. Adonis Felios, the Drip King, the AIW champion, your old foe there, Mr. Jovi, says, thanks, Tom, and still #1 worldwide in all of sports entertainment. And for those watching on social media, the heart of the show, Sportswire Radio, good night, Godspeed, till next time, Sportswire out. May the force be with you, gentlemen, from Darkfire. So Darkfire giving some impactful words. They almost look kind of like last week with the Star Wars, obviously, Revenge of the Fifth, and May the 4th be with you. So that was my one regret last week. Instead of seeing Star Wars in certain theaters, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 instead. But that's here nor there. That's not the point. We have closing thoughts I want to get to here before we sign off tonight. And first, I'm going with you, Nicholas Crenton, because you are the challenger to that RCW World Underground title. And obviously, this could be the biggest. We say it all the time, but maybe this is the moment after the way you've spoke tonight. You've said different things. Maybe, just maybe, it's going to be the 17-year drought, one of the longest droughts in all of civilization that is going to be ending. Not if Sean Jovi has his way, but I'm going to give you closing thoughts. Anything else you want to say, share, promote, plug. The floor is yours. You definitely know the drill by now, and fire away.
All right. Firstly, I want to address something with Omen. He's like, what? It's fun. It is funny to be the bad guy, but here's the other thing. Omen, you're the IMF World Champion. Here's the thing. The belt on its own is just a prop. It means nothing. It's what you do that gives it its meaning. It's what you do as you fight as a champion, as the people fight you to take it from you, that makes the belt mean something. It's why, the IMF world title, while it is impressive that you're the world champion, it's why a championship like the RCW World Underground Championship means more than it. It's why the WCE Interstate Championship right now means more than it. It's because, and in some ways I can even say the All Out Championship, because domination, Craven's all that. It's what you fight for. It's you put the meaning into the belt. Now, Sean, Vindication 2. I'll be ready, buddy. To your rules. We each get our 3 rope breaks. Once those are gone, it's free reign on the ropes. Pinfall submissions, 20 count on the floor, and, count out DQs both count as championship losses if you lose. But that's not just the only thing. I hope you are ready for the fight of your life. Because I know I am. Because, no, I'm not. I'm never going to take you lightly. And you know I won't. So I'll see you at Vindication for the RCW World Underground Championship. And I plan on giving you the fight of life so I can pry it out from your grasp.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, this is a different, even from what I've seen here over the past few months, as Sean Jovi correctly pointed out, a different Psycho Wolf now. Nicholas Crenson, and I want to say hello before I get to closing thoughts here to somebody that is one of our big supporters from California, all the way out there in California near San Diego. I think I'm saying it correctly, Anastasia Riznia. She gives a big, I'm a big wrestling fan, by the way, the past couple months. Big WCE fan, big IMF fan, big DKW fan, CCW fan, LWF fan, all the companies we cover on Sportswire. Odyssey Pro Wrestling, New GT Ministries, Nonstop Action Wrestling, you name them, we cover them. She's a fan of them. So I want to make sure we say hello to her. So, Champ, I'm going with you last, but certainly not least. It's your turn now. You're on the spot here. You know the drill, though, by now. But I'm giving you the opportunity for closing thoughts. Anything else you want to share, say, promote, say to your opponent, to anybody else that's been on here tonight, listening, watching, you know the drill. The resident rock star. You've definitely got it going on. Fire away.
Well, if you like this interview, of course, follow Tom. Follow me on YouTube at RCW Rules, RULZ for the rules part. This has been an incredible time, an incredible night. And Nicholas Crenson, get that off. Get that off your head. You are not an old adversary of mine. You can't do that. But that was glorious. But no, as far as you Crenson, anyone, Soldier GP, anyone, just remember, I am the resident rock star, and I kick ass so hard everyone lives on a prayer. So I hope everyone's ready. This is going to be my season. I'm taking it by the reins, and I'm making it mine. And I hope you all are along the ride with me. Check out my vlogs again. It tells a story. It's not just a vlog or a bunch of shenanigans. It tells a story about life and wrestling and what it all means to myself and others. So please be sure to check it out. And I will see you there.
All right, and I want everybody to follow again Sean Jovi one more time at RCW Rules with the Z. And for you, I had actually one Bon Jovi trivia for you because today is actually the 34th year anniversary of when Bon Jovi's song from the album New Jersey, I'll Be There With You, was number one. Yeah, I'll Be There For You was number one on the Billboard chart. So it was actually this week today, 34 years ago, May 13th, 1989. And it was on the charts for number one for 1 week, but it's the 34th year anniversary of New Jersey. And actually, I heard John Bon Jovi talk about that the other day because he was on Howard Stern, and also he did the rounds over at Sirius XM Radio. So that was for you. And last thing here, Adonis Felio says, someone will be vindicated at Vindication 2. And we're going to have nonstop Vindication 2 coverage because, as we said, next Sunday, James Marshall is on with us to talk about his match with Tyler Ark. And then Craven Rage rounds things off May the 24th against Prince Charles. I mean, Prince Charles, who said basically he was a mentor of Craven, was a mentor of his. He looked up to him, and he had quite a few things to say. I'm going to ask Craven those questions May the 24th. But in the meantime, next Sunday night, James Marshall, as you call him, champ, Marshall. So we'll have to see about that. But gentlemen, good luck out there. May the force be with you out there and be seeing you. And happy Mother's Day to your mothers as well.
All right. Have a great night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you are on sportnarium.com/player, you'll go back to your regularly scheduled programming here in a little while. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, I'll be back again one more time tomorrow night about 8 p.m. Eastern Time with Matthew Forsaken of Dark Cryptic Wrestling. I'll also be back Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. British Standard Time, 2 p.m. Central Time with Matt Royale from Wrestling Appreciation Society. And Thursday, speaking of guys like a Nicholas Crenson, I've got the vigilante of pro wrestling, Bentley, who's challenging for the GT Ministries world title against Disciple. This is like his 5th world title match in like 14 months, and we're going to see if this is finally the moment that Bentley wins the big one. So just like could Nicholas Crenson finally win the big one, we'll have to see. I'll ask Bentley that same question, 8 p.m. British Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursday night on Sportswire Radio, afternoon here if you're on the East and Central Coast. But thank everybody for tuning in on the number one global radio station. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there again. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are.